Hold it. Hello, guys, and welcome to the Chit Chat Show on the Elevated TV and radio. My name is Idafi Matthew S. You love to call me the Elevated One of Sports. It's been a hot topic. It's been a hot sport talk. Something that is difficult to explain in words. Something that is almost impossible to put in words. So we're going to travel 10,674.38 kilometers all the way from Lagos, Nigeria, to the place where it is really happening. We're going to Minnesota, and we're also going to spread our hands and get to the action center, Minneapolis, and talk to people who are on the ground to make sense of this whole thing. And then I've got a few questions that have been bubbling in my head even before this event happened. I've got the wonderful, the amazing, the incredible Cruz and the effervescent Twyla Rich. Guys, you're welcome to my chit chat on Elevated TV. How are you doing, Greg?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate, I think forums like this are very important right now with everything going on. So thank you for that.
And so you, the beautiful Twyla, you're looking amazing. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great. I'm appreciative that you have this platform so we can be able to speak and give our experience through this time.
All right. It's difficult these days to get on mainstream media because mainstream media seems to be a whole lot more political. So it's the agenda that suits their political, the subject that suits their political agenda that is discussed. But then thank God for opportunities and platforms like this. So we get to discuss this because this gets to the heart of my pigmentation of my skin. This gets to the heart of my being. This gets to the heart of my person. And we've had different conversation on this end, but it's just us in Nigeria here talking about it. First off, when that video came out and we saw it, we were dealing with a lot of issues here in Nigeria. We're dealing with rape in Edo State. We're dealing with rape in the Bukata rape issue. We're dealing with a whole lot. And in the middle of the COVID-19 mess, lack of palliatives and a whole lot. And then this came out. This was like dropping the bomb in Hiroshima. This was something that makes you forget every other thing that you're dealing with and say, wait a minute, I thought we've got past this. I thought this shouldn't be happening, but then it happened. So I'm going to start with you, Greg. You've been in the forefront of fighting for social justice, fighting for accountability in your state and in your local government. And Twyla, you were in the very, very center of all of this, the place where this happened in Minneapolis. So I'm going to start with Greg. Greg, every time this happened, what we hear is Black Lives Matters, Black Lives Matters. But before I go into the Black Lives Matters issues, talk to me about what you do.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I need you to talk to me about what you do in Minnesota.
All right, I live in Sarasota. Okay. So I live in, it sounds familiar, but similar. So I live in Sarasota, and in Sarasota, I'm a community organizer. And that's what I've been doing for the better part of a decade. When situations like this happen, you know, we mobilize our communities, and we try to make a difference and a stand, and we do things to raise awareness and, you know, use the spotlight to try to bring some justice, basically.
Okay, I'm going to go to Twyla now. Twyla, what do you do in Minneapolis?
Well, I'm a business owner, hairstylist. I'm also an activist for my community, and I am a mother as well. But for what's going on right now, specific to what we're talking about, we are mobilizing people and making sure people are getting their needs, whether it be baby formula, making sure people have access to their needs at this time. So being a spokesman for the people at this time. And that's what's happening at this very moment. So.
Okay, before we go further, I hear that some new development just broke concerning the police that killed, what I call it, using the word killed is just being nice, that strangled and murdered George Floyd. Cruz, what's the latest development on that? Because he was charged with third-degree murder, and I thought that was like a slap in the wrist in the first place.
Yeah. So just right before this interview went live, they arrested the other 3 officers and have charged them. I'm not sure exactly what they're charged with. And they also upgraded the original officer's charge from 3rd-degree murder to 2nd-degree murder. So, you know, it's a little better. There's still a long way to go. You know, as we know by the history in this country, an arrest does not mean a conviction. We've seen that over and over again. So as for right now, you know, I'm happy he was arrested, but in no way do I think it's over and that we won or that there's any type of victory or justice. Until he gets sentenced and found guilty, you know, we're going to have to see how this plays out.
Twyla, are you on the same boat with Greg on that?
What was that?
Are you on the same boat with Greg on how he feels about the upgraded charges?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Okay, so let's hit the match that have been organized. I've seen a lot of videos on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and some on CNN. And if I go online, I also see some on Fox News. And then they're calling it different names. I'm used to it. I'm a media practitioner, so I'm used to it. I've been in media for the better part of almost 20 years now, and that's about 2 decades. And I understand. I've always asked questions. Why is it that when you have white people march and riot, they call it a scuffle, they call it a misunderstanding, but then when it is black people that are doing march, they call it all sort of heinous and unprintable names to paint black people bad? That's one. So most times when I hear that, oh, the Black Lives Matters is out again, they are marching, I always ask myself, okay, what next? I'm no longer interested in what Al Sharpton is going to say, what this bishop is going to say, what that person is going to say. I'm always asking, okay, when you do the march, what's the next thing that is coming up? Now, in this case, the march started, and in the 2nd or 3rd day, they start vandalizing properties and shops and all that. How does that make you feel, Greg?
Well, you know, I definitely, it's like a catch-22 because my heart and my pain, of course, is with George Floyd and his family, and it's with our struggle as Black and brown people. You know, the things I've been through in my life, the type of racism I've experienced personally, you know, physical, you know, being attacked physically to, you know, all other kinds of racism. So it's kind of hard for me to comment about how I feel that people are choosing to let their anger, how they choosing to, the type of outlet that they're choosing.
Yeah.
Right, the way they're choosing to express themselves. Do I agree with it all? Not 100%, but at the same time, you know, it's, people are expressing the only way some people, is the only way they know how. That's not to make an excuse, you know, because you do also have groups of people who literally are just opportunists and they have no social engagement at all. They're not part of any movement. They don't care what's going on in the streets, but they just look at this opportunity to be able to steal and you know, and kind of hide in the shadows and commit these crimes and kind of blend in with the crowd. And what ends up happening is that the people who are out there with a solid, good message and who are, like, for instance, I just held, I was part of helping organize a protest last weekend. And our protest was a 100% peaceful protest. We had over 1,000 people show up. There was, you know, a good 50, 60 police officers, helicopters. We had a peaceful protest from beginning to end. Once our protest ended, literally a counter protest just started right from that protest. And they went on. And by the time I drove and got home 2 hours later, though, that group after our protest were already on the news. They tried to go on the highway and take I-4. Some people got arrested. They ended up going downtown and disrupting some things. And then people tie that mentality and that behavior to our protest. And they say, well, it was a Black Lives Matter protest. And, you know, and that's a lot of what's going on in the media. I could almost guarantee that the people who are out there organizing for Black lives are not including looting, rioting in their message. They're not condoning it. It's not part of the platform for Black lives. You know, it's just a way subgroups are dealing with their anger. And when you have groups, you have people marching in all 50 states. When you have that many people out in the streets, it's hard to say who's with who and what's with what. And, you know, and on top of that, Black Lives Matter is not a centralized organization. Anybody could just say, hey, I'm making a Black Lives Matter protest tomorrow, and make a Black Lives Matter protest. It's not centralized anywhere. Anybody could just be a member of Black Lives Matter. And that's another issue.
All right, Twyla, I come to you, and thank you very much, Greg, for that explanation. There's something I got there, is the fact that there are opportunists who would always want to seize every moment. And that's got nothing to do with America. It happens everywhere in the world, on every front. They look for everything, that any good thing that somebody is doing, and then they seize opportunity, knowing fully well that the blame, whatever go wrong, the blame might go to everybody. But then, Twyla, you're very close to the action. And there's something I know with life, you know, the further away from the real event, the lighter the shades of gray. So you are in Minneapolis where it happened. What's the history of this type? I mean, what's the reaction? How was it? How heavy was the pain compared to those of us in Nigeria and people in Australia and people in Europe across the globe? How heavy is the pain of the people in Minneapolis?
I would say it's really deep. It's really traumatic. You know, I went out, you know, the day, maybe about 2 days after, you know, after the buildings were burning, just to see my city, just to see, you know, how everything was going, you know, and, you know, people were on the streets crying, weeping, you know, it was like a complete, like it was like a whole nother town. It doesn't even look like my city. People are devastated, you know, like even my own daughter, she doesn't, you know, she's even scared, you know, she's scared that something bad is gonna happen. And we can't even go outside and turn the corner without seeing troops at the corner with their rifles out. I mean, like, our lives changed like overnight, even today, you know, it's not the same. No one trusts the police. You can't call the police or the ambulance and expect for them to come. So, I mean, there was a lady that died in her car because the police aren't showing up. They're busy doing other things. I mean, nobody's to be trusted here, especially the police. So people are helpless and people are scared, and that's, our community has been traumatized. And so they're fending for themselves at this point.
Wow. So let me come in here. Now, every time a Black person, it seems to be like a cliche now. Every time a Black person is killed, it's Black Lives Matters. Everybody, I see it on BET, I see it on MTV Base, I see everywhere, Black Lives Matters. And then I always expect that is an initiation of a move, but then there's supposed to be an after. But I almost does not get to see the after. Maybe it's happening, but I don't get to see it, or probably it's not reported, because to me, Black Lives Matter marches and rallies are supposed to be a call to action. But then what is the action thereafter? I don't know if, Greg, you can enlighten me about that, because you must have a list of items that you're listing while you're making this march, what you want, what are your demands, what you want to happen. Do we have anything of such, or is just after the march, when everybody gets tired, you go back to life as it used to be?
No, you know, as you know, the history of the United States has always been to silence the voices of Black and brown people.
Yeah.
It's been like that since the inception, from when they stole the land that we live on right now. So that hasn't changed. So the reason why you only see the marches and not the after effect is because that's what the media wants you to see. That's what our government wants the world to see. They want to, in order for them to get away with arresting us, assaulting us, and you know, doing the things they're doing to us, they have to criminalize us to the world. They have to, you know, they have to demonize us in the media, and that's what they do. Do you know how many laws and policies have been affected because of it being initiated by members of Black Lives Matter? Like, for instance, we do have a platform. If anybody would like to actually go see the platform, you could go online, and if you go for the movementforblacklives.org or .com, and you will see the platform on there. But we do have, like, for instance, some of the things we call for are for divestment in racist institutions. We need to divest money and reallocate funding, federal funding from policing and incarceration, and reallocate it towards Black and brown communities for education and to build infrastructure and to kind of start doing some things that are going to build equity in our communities, because we started this race hundreds of years behind. So before we even get on an equal playing field, there's a lot of things that need to be done, you know, that our governments need to take that stance and take that initial step on. You know, we also need to invest in our communities. You know, like one of the things we talked about briefly earlier is that, you know, white colleges, they usually have about 10% Black and brown students, but those 10% of students generate hundreds of millions of dollars for Duke University, Yale University, and these colleges through sports and athletics. Meanwhile, historically Black colleges right now are bleeding, like they're dying right now because they don't have enough money. So what we need to do is almost a form of segregating ourselves in order to start building wealth back into our own communities. That's something we have to do. Our wealth compared to a white person's wealth, we have 5 cents for every $2 that a white person has in wealth. And that's ridiculous. We're gonna die. We're not gonna have anything to pass on if we continue at this rate.
Okay, so I was doing some digging over the last couple of days because I started thinking that, okay, look, because as much as I want to complain, oh, I don't like this, I don't like what is happening, I have a platform. It might be a very small platform, but I could talk about it. So once I started digging, I saw something called redlining. And this is something that predates all of us here. And from my research, redlining is how America was divided and zoned, so much so that that's the beginning of white privilege, actually. It's something that makes it so easy for a white guy who have the same qualification with you, everything the same, but would have a better opportunity than you, or than me, or than Twyla. And this thing is, as much as we talk about Black Lives Matter, because people will still die, police is still going to kill somebody tomorrow. Even as we're having this conversation, police might be killing somebody somewhere. Why don't we, start having a conversation that fix that redlining thing that makes the Black kid born into disadvantage? Let's not forget that there is a 400 years gap that puts the Black race way, way behind this. And then there is, I was having this conversation with a group of friends, and they said that, okay, good. There was the Holocaust. The Jewish people had 6 million Jews killed. There was the Holocaust, the German, Hitler's army, and then the Jews were nationless. But then they've been able to recover themselves and come back together. There was Hiroshima bomb blast that practically put up a mushroom cloud and destroyed a nation and their generations. But then they find themselves back. Why haven't the Blacks in America been able to get past slavery, rebuild themselves, restructure their economy, and be able to fight or compete at the same level? Why?
Well, one of the reasons is, the Jewish people, for instance, they have been paid reparations. So as you know, now they've become one of the most powerful groups of people in the country, you know what I'm saying, if not the world. Definitely, they control most of the media, which, is a big deal. And like you said, they started down there also, but, it's very important to remember that not only do their skin color identify them as white, make them white accepting, but they were also paid reparations. That's another thing. Another thing that holds Black and brown people back is systematic racism, period. It's in every institution on earth is plagued with systematic racism. Let's just go down the list. The military, Black and brown people don't own the military. Banking, Black and brown people don't own banking. Media, Black and brown people don't own media. School and education, healthcare, every major institution that's meant to help people, to make people prosper and provide, Black and brown people have no seat at the table. In most of those institutions, they don't even have administrative roles. And the system is meant to keep it like that. It's meant to keep white supremacy. It's meant like that. So, you know, and redlining is a perfect example. Like you say, why don't we confront that? You know how many decades people have been trying to fight against redlining? That's a form of white supremacy that the government and that white supremacists are not willing to give up. Because they know, like for instance, property value, because of property value, that's what property values pay school taxes. Yeah. School taxes is what makes your school either a Title I school or a Title II school. A Title I school are usually in low income areas because they lack funding. The reason why they lack funding is because the tax revenue they get are for low income properties, so they don't get a lot of tax revenue. That's all done on purpose. You know, then you go to the nicer neighborhoods and they pay higher property taxes. They have their schools where they have iPads in their schools. And, you know, they have all these after school programs and music programs and sports and all of that. And that's part of the issue.
I'm going to come to Twyla on this, because all of these things that Greg just mentioned strikes to my heart, and it strikes to something very, very particular. When you listen to Nas rap, he talks about growing up in the project. You listen to Jay-Z, it's the same thing. You listen to Kevin Hart, you listen to, Dave Chappelle did not grow up in the project. You listen to almost all of these guys. And then there is a list. Basketball is a black man's sport. The NFL is a black man's sport. Baseball is a black man's sport. Hip hop is black man's business, black man's music. Rap is black man's music. R&B is black man's music. Jazz is black man's music. Now, this creates a pyramid of opportunities, of something that black people can do and earn money without being controlled by the system. But then the sad reality is at the bottom of that pyramid is a lot of black people. Michael Jordan, Odell Beckham, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Dwayne Wade, all of these guys. And then, you know, put it in the music industry, you have everybody who matters in rap being a black person. But then at the executive level where you have decision makers, you have only white. My question is, you just talk about low income tax because of the houses and then that having a ripple effect on the schools. Twyla, don't you think that these black guys, these black dudes who make a lot of money from rap, from football, from NFL, from basketball, don't you think it's about time they see all of this and then come and invest in these neighborhoods where you have a lot of black people, so that the tax value can go up, and then it have a ripple effect on improving the schools, and then they have all these after school programs like you have in the white neighborhoods. But then, unfortunately, every black man makes a lot of money and goes to 90210, goes to Spring, goes to, you know, the white man neighborhoods, wants to live in the white man neighborhood. But then when something goes wrong, you say the white man is privileged. Why do you want to live in this neighborhood when you can't use the money you make from the hood to develop the hood?
Yeah, I think it is the best time to give back to where they come from, to give back to their community. But a lot of times that doesn't happen. They go out and they forget about where they come from. And that's the unfortunate reality. So
would you 100% by that? Because I look at Jay-Z, I mean, I'm not trying to insult anybody. They made their money. I mean, if I have my money, I'll decide what I want to do with my money. But then I'm not going to make $1 billion, for instance, and I'm going to live in Dubai. I'm going to stay in Nigeria here because I make my money here in Nigeria. So I look at Jay-Z. They say Forbes tells me that he's in the $1 billion rank. Wow, time is running. And now Kanye West, who rode on the back of so many controversies, is now $1 billion man. And then a whole lot of others. Isn't it time for them to say, you know what? We are going to, Dr. Dre, all of these guys, we are going to invest strategically to grow the black community so that the black community can compete. A certain Tyler Perry made money. He could have done what every other person did, but he went to buy land in black neighborhood, invested in black neighborhood, and is growing a company, the Twyla Perry production. Why are other black people not emulating that? Because, Craig, that is the problem. The white man is not going to allow you come take the lead over him. But then I see a lot of black people make money and then they're buying bling bling, buying expensive cars, living crazy life, buying all the sneakers. I'm not saying don't buy it, but then you can live a normal life and invest in your community. Why are you guys not holding a march or a rally for that conversation to be heard?
Well, you got to understand, you know, the black man and the black woman always have to carry so much on their shoulder. Of course, investing in our communities is important. It's something we should definitely do, but we don't have these conversations with white people. When was the last time you heard a white person ask, why don't you go and invest in your community? The government makes sure that white communities are thriving and doing good. You know what I mean? And that's all we want. We want accountability. We want accountability. We want our neighborhoods to be just the way other neighborhoods are. We shouldn't have to depend on the 0.1% of millionaires in the black community that make it to build our community. The white community doesn't do that. They know they're going to be taken care of by their government. You know, that's part of their privilege. You know what I mean? And I would just like to get to a point where we don't even have to have this discussion, where LeBron James shouldn't have to open up a school. You know what I mean? It was a great thing that he did that, but he shouldn't have to. You know what I mean? He should be able to be an athlete and do what athletes do for his career and have a great career. And, you know, and of course it's awesome. I wish more people would follow his lead for sure, because we need it. You know what I mean? Definitely we need people to come back and invest, but it shouldn't always fall on us to always have to fix stuff that has been done to us. You know what I mean? It's like we're the victim and then we have to go and placate the victimizer in order to get what we want or what we need. You know what I mean?
So that brings me to the point where you use your power. There's still a power that you have. The black community and the people of colors general in America, from my research, do not pick interest in voting. And sometimes when you want to vote, you vote only at the presidential level. Now the funny thing, and that's also the problem with my country, Nigeria, we focus on the presidential level. Now, if you don't vote for the person, let's start with, what's the lowest office in America? The ombudsman, right?
Yeah, ombudsman, yep.
Good. So if you're not concerned about who's the ombudsman from your local area, from your precinct, right? And then you're not concerned about who's the mayor. You're not concerned about who's the governor of your state. You're not concerned about who's going to represent you as a congressman, as a senator. This is how Supreme Court judges are selected. And you don't get a say-so in it. Even if you vote for your own president, like you have 8 years of Obama, if the structure from the bottom up that supports and questions and guides the Obama administration, you don't have a say-so in it, they would still skim you out of things. So what are you guys doing to make sure that the person who is going to be the ombudsman from your community earns the right to say, because you gave me the trust to do this, I'm going to do this in return for you. The person who becomes your congressman, the person who becomes your mayor and all of that, you can hold them accountable based on the power of your vote.
Disenfranchisement has been going on forever in our community. And that happens now during every election cycle. We have longer lines. We have less voting polls in black and brown neighborhoods, and that's meant to discourage people from voting. Not only that, but you have to understand how much people have lost faith in this voting system. The president that's in office now, he lost by 3 million votes, by 3 million popular votes. You know what I mean? That means so more people in this country voted against him being president than him being the president, but because of the Electoral College, which is a very corrupted system now, he was able to become president. Look for New York, for instance. Bernie Sanders won 87% of the vote in New York over Hillary Clinton, but the electoral votes went to Hillary Clinton, so she won that state. That was eye-opening for a lot of people, and it let us know, it made us feel like our votes didn't count. If we're gonna spend, we're gonna do the research and take the step to go vote and our vote doesn't count and you're gonna go with the other guy anyway, then it makes people wanna not do it.
Twyla, is it not incumbent on you now to make sure you are responsible for who gets to be in that electoral college? Because they're not aliens that come to do the voting in electoral college. Thank God for what happened between Hillary Clinton and Trump, and what happened between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. Now, that is giving you guys another hoop to jump. Is there not a way to fix it, to make sure that the guy who's going to be there is accountable to you?
For sure. Can you repeat that one more time? I'm having a hard time.
So I'm talking about the people who are voting at the electoral college. Is there no way you can control who gets there by your votes?
To be honest, I don't know exactly how the electoral college is even chosen, but I do know that it's all politics. The electoral college are people that are in politics, and you know, it's a lot of favors being exchanged and you know, stuff like that. So it's not a foolproof system anymore. You know, it might have started out with good intentions, but like most systems, once they figure out a way to manipulate it, that's what's happened, and that's, you can see that's happening now.
I will say for sure right now, from what I've heard, that with this COVID-19 going around right now, it's been a big barrier going down there for the African-American community right here, at least in Minnesota that I know, them not having even a pen to even write on the ballot. I mean, just small things like that, you know, people having to leave, it's, you know, it's too packed, the elderly have to leave, you know, people, it's just so dysfunctional that people are just saying, forget it, not even voting, period. And so that really has a huge impact on who gets into office. And I think that, me personally, that I think is intentional. I mean, how can you not have access to pens? I mean, I just don't see why that's an issue.
I know we're very slow, we're late on time. I just want to throw one more thing out there that's very important. Minnesota, where this incident happened, I want to remind everybody that a couple of years ago in St. Paul, Minnesota, Philando Castile was murdered. If you remember that case, that was another major case, and that was also in Minnesota. This is the same state. I just wanted to point that out because that's very important with the way they're policing in that state.
Okay, so as I close, I'm always of the conclusion that there are great, amazing, and good cops who go out there that they want to protect and serve. And then there are those who are bad because they know that the system would support them. Like Twyla just mentioned, my mom, God bless her soul, when she was alive, she used to say this. It's an African proverb, that the war that was pre-announced doesn't kill a soul. It wouldn't kill a cripple. So every black man in America knows that there's gonna be issues with as little as a pen. When you're preparing for election, go with your pen, buy a pack of pen, give it to people on the queue. Make sure you tidy your ends. That's the kind of life we live here. We walk like God is against us, and we pray like only God would do it. I wish we have a lot of time. And Greg, I'm going to have you again, and hopefully Twyla as well. I'm going to have you again, and we're going to keep this conversation going on this platform for as long as we can, until those who are supposed to hear, we hear it. But thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Greg.
Thank you very much, man.
All right, guys, thank you very much for watching us. It's been an amazing conversation. We hope that everybody will see this and see a reason to improve and change. We really hope that you don't have to beg to get what you deserve. But then this is the world we live in. While that is going on, everybody please stay safe. Understand that coronavirus is still out there, and you've got to be alive to be able to fight for what you deserve. Thank you very much for being on the show today. My name once again is Idafi Matthew. Bye.